Beloved star, welcome. Welcome to our Immortal Star Pod, episode 57. This one I've been sitting with, and it's so interesting because when I attune to what is to come for the pod, and I spoke about this a little bit last time, it often presents very simply and directly, and there is this one sentence or place that this wants to start from, this pod, and it's a conversation that I had this week with my uncle, and I've been seeing him a bit because I've been looking after my dad over the last few months on and off, and he's his older brother, and he's been coming to visit a lot while I've been there. And there was a conversation at the dinner table going back in time, and I shared about being really, really shy when I was small, and about how I used to rub my eyes so that when I was in groups of people, so I couldn't be a way of trying to be invisible also. And I've spoken of these themes before, the themes of the longing for invisibility, and at the same time having a deep gift or a deep light to share. And that's certainly been part of the paradox or the mystery of my own calling, because there is this longing to share this beauty or this light within, this remembrance and this crystalline awakening. And then also there is a deep longing to remain invisible and profoundly quiet. And those two impulses reside side by side and are almost so intricately linked within my soul that I don't really know where one begins and the other ends. But as I shared with my uncle, and I shared this about being so shy and the rubbing of my eyes, and he said, "That's so interesting." He said, "I don't remember you being shy." He said, "I lived with you all when you were small, and you," well, as he put it, as he said, "you seemed really normal." So, and I think, he was with us when I was a toddler. There are pictures in the garden in London, in Grove Park, and he was, our young uncle living with us. We were toddlers at the time, and summers in the garden. And I thought that really stayed with me as he said it. I was a little perturbed at the moment because I suddenly thought, gosh, have I misremembered the truth of how I was and who I was? And then I realized that it probably hadn't started then, and that depth of longing to remain invisible, that depth of longing not to see or be seen, wasn't there from the beginning. And I think for so many of us, the sense, the layers of shyness that are created, which are more acute, more wounded layers, are quite different from the deep silence and stillness and the soulful invisibility that dwells within us, and that they come from a wounding, they come later. And I mention this for two reasons right now, partly because of the energy that we're in of this year, which is the signature of this energy, which is core presence, core essence equals deepest interconnection. And that really carries us into that encounter all over again and as never before, with that sharing of the beauty that we are, letting ourselves light up as stars of this dawn, sharing the beauty that is within us, giving expression to that. And how at those layers of the soul that can dwell alongside our deepest silence and stillness, a place where there is no desire to go out there, as it were. And what I'm really learning in the new core energetics of this year is that this way of shining or sharing from core presence is really different to any notion we might have that we may have projected or been aware of about what it means to go out there or to shine our light. That the way that we do that from core presence or core essence is quite different, and it's a way that doesn't go against, is not inimical to that silence and that stillness within our soul, that really has no desire ever to be seen. that somehow this way of doing this from core essence and core presencing enables that deepest filament of the soul and the soul star and the self to remain profoundly intact. And I feel so passionate that that is a place and a way that is developing and unfolding within our collective field. I feel so aware of it. And so coming back to the energetics of the now, that part of what we've been invited to at this threshold as the first wave of January completes, the first moon, which has been the snowdrop moon in Aurora, in the Elvin Aurora, and we're crossing over to February, which is the star magnolia moon in Aurora, that we are moving from a place where there has been this deep stilling into over and over again, this core presence as never before, and looking at the way that our light body design of who we truly are, our own star DNA patterning, that body of light as it forms in that unique sovereignty here in this world, that we are perceiving and witnessing the arrival of that patterning of light, that design as never before, so much falling away as we still over and over again into this core presence. And so a profound emphasis on the within, but as we come now to this second wave, and I shared of this in the last pod of February of the star magnolia moon, that we are now, it's as though the orb of our aura begins to express, to pattern forth from that innermost core. So as I was guided this year, my guidance, I kept being drawn back again and again, and I am being to, they just kept directing me to that Elena, dear of the morning star, presence within my own being. And as I've shared in the New Year transmission, you know, the anchoring of the vast Elvin creational pathways that have inflowed, that have been so much the focus of my awareness, that both within the earth as the new earth lands, but also the celestial, galactic and intergalactic filaments of that light and interconnectivity, that it's been really now a drop in to focus upon that core presence. And so with this, I felt through that first moon of coming into presence in this new way, that core actions have just been calling every now and again through the first wave, those core creations or impulses that really are true to that core presence. And one of them, as I shared in my last newsletter, was to go forward with this Elvin Photoshoot, something I've never ever done. And there are lots of reasons for that, but partly, well, it simply hasn't been time, and there are deeper layers to that, which is also that certainly in early life I experienced a lot of pressure as a woman to be beautiful. It was a huge pressure in our family to be physically beautiful. It was spoken of almost daily, and so that was a very, very strong presence, and I was so aware of that it was something I needed to drop altogether and to let go of. And a couple of times in my early life, just shaving off all of my hair, giving away all of my clothes, keeping very simple things, needing to discover in the expression of my physical presence that which was true, that which wasn't a construct in any way to manipulate the gaze of the other, or to be in a way that took energy and in a way that wasn't real. And so it's something I've been super, super conscious of, and with the journey of sharing the work and wondering just how I would create or call to that external image that would be really, really true to the light that is within, and wanting to know that I was in no way being false. It's been felt so important. I've not wanted to be false, to be creating an image that manipulates or creates distortion or confusion for anyone else, or a comparison that isn't real, or all of these kind of layers. And maybe I've been a bit of a, worried too much about it. It's been something too much on my thoughts because of my own past and history with that. but it's been something I've thought about a great deal, because twinned with the desire not to project in any way that is false or unhelpful to anyone, I just have no desire to be part of that continuum of images that, you know, suppress other women or to entrain interest in me in ways that are, you know, in any way manipulative or untrue, a false seduction, a glamour of any kind. That I've also felt twinned with that from being this child from very early on. I loved to dress up. I was always going up to my grandmother's attic when we were there, which was so cold, you know, like holes in the roof that with the kind of just a cover over them, and great crates and white sheets, dust sheets lying over things, and my sister and I used to go through them and find all my grandmother's old dresses and things like this, and old ball dresses, and dress up in them, and then come down from the dusty, freezing cold attic and reveal ourselves in kind of feathered hats and flowing dresses. There are photographs. So, and like so many, you know, just love to be in that realm of going into this deep imaginal realm of play and blossoming this presence, calling this presence forth. And I believe that for me links very much to that very pure longing to blossom, to share beauty, to express, that is very, very pure. And what I see at this time, which I find so unbelievably beautiful, is that, and I see it in so many young women, and for some reason especially noticing that, because I've seen some very ones that, so many that are really speaking to ways that have long sung in my soul, and you know, to express that beauty within in a really true way, that is a true expression of states of being, of the beauty we experience within ourselves. And that is the beauty of the soul and the soul star, and the states of being, that the beauty of the earth and the world that we're in, when we feel that alignment with that wonder that they call us to feel, and that we feel as and through ourselves and long to give expression to. And that is the grace that you feel when you stand under that great tree, the way that you sing into the song lines of the grace of your own beauty. And we are transfigured over and over again in all kinds of different moments into those profound states of the beauty of the soul and of who we are. And that it's part, nothing to do with men and women, but as a woman, I've been inspired by the women, that that feminine aspect of our being is so much about the blossoming and sharing of the beauty that we are, simply its expression, the calling to give expression to that. Now, that lives so close, is such a crystalline essence of our being, I believe. And it sings alongside, it may be through physical expression, but equally it's the same impulse in us that, as Tolkien put it, it longs to create as God creates, longs to create as nature creates. And we might do it through all kinds of different ways. We may do it through our self-expression, we may do it through our art, through our sewing, through our writing, through our homemaking, through our work, in whatever form. It is that crystalline longing to express the beauty that we are. And it's such a profound and pure part of our being and our essence. And I believe it's also the part that has been so deeply repressed and suppressed upon this earth, that also around it, or in case close to it, can feel as though our deepest terrors lie. And that the most profound sense of oppression or hostility can feel as though it can be triggered in the field, almost a paralysis or an inertia, when we try to touch that part of ourselves, that there is the deep sense of a counter oppression, of a desire that brings a desire to conceal or protect that part of ourselves. And for me, that's the shyness. That's the layer of the shyness that comes through the wound. That's the shyness that comes through the times when we have shared and expressed the beauty that we are, and probably those wounds seeded in earliest time when we did that, and we received the counterwave that that was not wanted, or that was bad in some way or wrong, and the deep seated shaming or signal that that is just wrong, the sense of no around that. And when we are in a world of separation, when we are in a world of ego and the fragility of needing to hold competitively, sustain ourselves in existence, or that we feel we are each in that place of fighting for our own survival, the beauty of another can feel deeply threatening. That pure expressed beauty of another can bring up deep, deep sorrow, deep discomfort, resentment or envy. It can feel like an assault, as though it is actually taking away from us in some way. And I believe that often what we experienced through that early wounding was that field reverberating back towards us. And, you know, we there's a lot of sharing about narcissistic culture and the nature, the psychological nature of the narcissist. And I know that's touched so many of our lives. This ultimate and most, if you like, complete expression of that ego protecting itself in existence, that really can't bear for anyone else to take the stage or take the limelight in any way unless it enhances them, unless it extends their own presence. And in that reality, truly, to shine or share one's beauty does seem to, when you are in a reality where the narcissist is the most extreme example of that, but where it really does seem to threaten or annihilate or make other people uncomfortable or unhappy when you share your beauty, when you give it expression. That's a very genuine message we may receive over and over again, that it does no one any good if we share our beauty, that it's really not the right thing to do. So I hope I haven't gone on about that too much. I feel like I just went into that for a while, and maybe repeated myself. But where I was going with that is really that I think I would best express it by the moment. So every part of the process of the photo shoot, I re-encountered that old wound and a deep fear that I would hurt others if I sort of indulged, if you like, in this beauty of this expression, if I let myself bring this forth. And that is the old setting of those encounters, of that wound, because I could feel how finally what I had discovered, what I longed to create through presence, was really something coming from that pure expression within my core. And I knew this, I could feel this. But it was interesting to see the reactions within my being still playing through and how uncomfortable I felt. But the beauty of what had been seeded was such that it really kind of flowed together in its own way. And my sister, who is training as a florist, I asked her to create the flowers for my hair, and went to her house on the Sunday before, and she wove them into my hair. But even the feeling of having someone take care of me and focus on me, just to let that be for a moment, I tried on my dress in advance and this beautiful shawl, and then she wove the flowers into my hair. My partner came and took some pictures, and just that sense of letting the limelight shine for a bit and feeling, the echo of those old forces or those voice that would say you're stealing or you're taking from someone else if you have this moment, echoing through, but watching, stilling into presence, knowing that it wasn't, because I could feel the purity, and knowing the purity of the impulse of this time around. So just watching those echoes play out through my consciousness. So I felt that at that moment, and then coming again to the moment when I was then driving towards the photo shoot, and the flowers had been woven into my hair with this gorgeous boho plait by this wonderful hairdresser, Lucy Locks, and she wove all of those in, and this incredible wild windblown natural plait, which was all part of my dream for this. And driving towards it, I then just I felt the distortion of those layers coming up so strongly again. Just gosh, that there's something so wrong about stepping into the light and sharing my beauty, and that inner beauty of my soul that's somehow feeling just that, yeah, the pressure almost of a countercurrent, a deepest countercurrent, that in a way that would be such an ugly thing to do, just such a wrong thing to do. And so I watched this, but this time around, whereas in the past that wound had the deep effect, it was woven in all with, then I would delete myself, I would vanish again. The times when I shaved off all of my hair, give away everything I have, just not to pressure that place, just disappear back into a more invisible purity. I was able to just keep sitting and knowing and feeling the truth, because I could feel the underlying energy, just crystalline, very clear, very simple, very pure, that this was a deeper dance being called forth, and that in the light it already existed at this beautiful level of a very pure soul star expression. So if this hasn't been a setting you've had, you may just wonder what all of that palaver or worry could be about. But I hope that for those who may have experienced similar layers, that this story may be of some value, just to be able to disentangle and highlight that those gentle parts of us that exist in the stillness and silence of ourselves, that profound soulfulness, too can have a very natural and profound longing for self-expression that is very, very pure, and that those layers interwoven can absolutely coexist and be one. And in fact, part of the importance for me was realizing that I didn't want to express through something really sort of super sparkly, or that it was earthen and gentle and belongs to that dear of the morning star essence, luminous but earthen and gentle. And then the deep crimson shawl that came in, I shared about that in my newsletter. And even my sister, the flowers she brought back, even though we'd discussed this more, beautiful earthen tones, and oranges actually for the flowers, soft oranges, that they were crimson flowers, these deep, beautiful crimson flowers that actually she'd got hold of, and they matched with the shawl. So I felt into that, and I felt the song of that, and how it was all part in truth of the medicine of earth longing to be shared, and of my own remembrance. And my medicine, woman remembrance of lifetimes, I always see her in red, in truth. And red and white, quite earthen versions of those, but those colours. So I was able to bow with some grace to the deeper expression of what wanted to come through by these, the shawl, which was the wrong one, sent, which came that colour, and then the flowers. And it felt that this shining was at one with the deep quietness and stillness within my soul, and that it was in the forest, which is what my soul called to, just within nature purely, and that even the winter forest was an articulation of that simplicity and that gentleness. And but that I could feel, and that's what I love to share, is just to be able to distinguish, because I would love to help support that landscape getting more visible, the difference between that gentleness, that stillness within you, that silence that is so soulful, that is part of who you are, that coexists with the pure expression, that which longs to blossom and express, the difference between that and then the more wounded or distorted layers that come from our culture of separation from the soul and the soul star's light, that have been encoded with a deepest hostility, that actually carry a hostility for that pure sovereign light and expression, that will, through all kinds of ways, through profound unkindness, cruelty, discouragement, mockery, fear tactics, that will push away and push out and lead and layer in lead to this wounding, and to be able to distinguish the difference when those different forces are acting upon you, and that you are able just to remain gently true to that gentle soul star expression and blossoming within you. Because as we come to this next phase, we are coming to that time when the innermost essence is what brings that greatest interconnection. And that greatest interconnection of your shared light can be an absolute truth and harmonic, and indeed is and shall be, with those parts of you. Coming up close to touch, longs to hear from those parts of you the wisdom of that one who is so sentient, sensitive, wise, that carries that soul star light, the expression of your true beauty, of your simplicity, of what's really carried within your core. That is the gift that all longs to receive in the deeper truth. And when we are able to let ourselves blossom, let the orb of the aura fill, the swan feather wings of your angelic aura fill with this light of your true patterning, of your core presence, that this new pattern of interconnection is fulfilled. And we discover that actually, instead of that old vibrational experience of the distortion of separation and the separated ego, which is so threatened by anyone else lighting up and shining in the field, that we are in a different reality. We are in a reality where others are lit in their innermost core by our light, that we are catching like beacon to beacon, like in Lord of the Rings, where you see them being lit hill to hill. One is lit, and that is visible to the next, which then is lit. That becomes visible to the next, which then is lit. That this is the way, this is what happens through our sharing of our light. When we share from this level, when we do it from our purity, and it's that pure longing for the expression of the beauty of the soul star light of the one who we are. So with that, a very, very, it's like a new universe. It's like a new world coming into being. And again, if you've experienced this, if you've experienced this particular challenge that I've experienced, that, you can feel through my words right now, this shimmeringly different field, this different field that we are establishing and coming into. And that holding true, not letting yourself be deleted or pushed back, destroyed by that other force, by holding true, even if there are the murmurs of that wounding still being cleared, because whenever you come into an act of soul star expression, if there is more of this to be cleared, it will rise up. And staying true, because the gesture itself, by following through, staying true, will bring that deep, deep healing, that deep reseeding, that deep new message into your field. And even to the point you might feel yourself afterwards imagining, oh my gosh, people might not like that might be bad, that might have upset someone. Now, this isn't to say that it won't trigger. It's not that field isn't real and doesn't exist, but it's understanding that it only triggers and hurts the ego. And at this phase of the dawn, part of what is happening for all of us is that construct of the separated self is being profoundly triggered, and that is a gift. That is a gift. We need that wounded self to be stirred up so that it can come to the fore, it's not hidden in the depths of ourselves, so that it comes to the fore and it can be resolved, it can return into the light. So not being afraid as well of that truth, that there may be those stirred, there may be those who need to deeply reject or move away from you in that moment, but trusting too that is the medicine ripple of that gift, and that you give more by doing that and allowing that reaction to take place than by holding invisible and creating a kind of comfort field of mutual invisibility that really is a kind of stasis. It's a kind of paralysis. It's just through, for one and all, it's an inertia. Nothing's taking place. So these words that were written, just checking the time, how long this pod, they really shone out to me when I wrote some notes for this pod. We are being asked to share our beauty. You are being asked to share your beauty, and you are so beautiful. And often where we've lost connection with our beauty is because of the times where we've held it back. So part of it is being willing to track back. If you're feeling disconnected from that right now, being willing to, maybe there's a time, there's something you need to track back into where you were being asked to share, where that call did come, and maybe you said no at the time. Maybe you said no and you turned away from yourself, from these same deeply seated kind of reasons that I've shared. And tracking back to that, letting yourself feel and acknowledge the deep discomforts, fears, the deep shame, or the terrors, the echoes, those negative voices that stopped you going there. Saying, okay, time now, darling heart, this one, going back to this one, let's give it another go. Let's go forward now, let's take a step, let's share the beauty and reset. And when we do that, we release the veil of the self-hatred that we've absorbed, because when we absorb that message not to share ourselves, that will hurt another or it's wrong in some way, then we're entering into that agreement, and it becomes a form of self-hatred that we're carrying then. So we end that agreement with that self-hatred by gently then taking that step, moving forward, sharing our beauty. And we might feel some after echoes and so forth, but then what happens is we stabilize. We start coming into a deeper connection and an awareness, a genuinely felt awareness of the beauty that is within us. And so we don't feel the separation from that within ourselves. It starts to become real unto ourselves again, that beautiful soul starlight that you carry within and all that you're being asked to share. And one of the funny things about that is we can feel we've shared it and maybe a fear that will bore people if we bring it forward again. But one of the messages of the Elvin that's so strong is this beauty bears repetition. You can repeat this note, this vibration, this song of who you are over and over again, ad infinitum. There is no danger of this being too much, becoming boring. This note that you are bears to be resounded and repeated and sounded over and over and over again. In this dawn, that's part of the boom. That's when the boom of the vibration of that which you are starts to deepen and deepen and deepen in, to be felt. And often when we don't receive the response perhaps that we hope for, or that might really reassure us, or we get the afterwave of the old self-rejection, we take that as a confirmation. Oh, I've done enough of that, step back again. I won't go back into that space and share my beauty. Maybe it bores, or it's too much, or all of this. But what we want, what we're called to, is the Elven share. Keep building the boom, gently and truthfully, in a way that's in alignment with the gentle stillness within your being also. You don't have to step out of step with that one in the space of the true expression of the beauty that you are. You'll feel that when you're in the truth of it, it's harmonic with that part of yourself, and it will not sort of obliterate those beautiful spaces and stillnesses, the silences within your soul space that is so integral to who you are. So let me just check. Yeah, these simplest gestures, this boom, the sharing of your beauty. So the orb of the aura now, we're at the phase through February and we're just at the beginning. You may feel a bit of a flump right now, kind of not anything much. We've been through a lot of powerful light waves with the establishing of this core presence. But through this now, this moon to come, this star magnolia moon, this is really going to begin to build in this gorgeous aura, the orb of your aura, building itself from core presence. So, yeah. I think there were a few more things that came through, but I feel that's the completion now, and this may be, the rest may be sharings for other times and other moments. Let me just look right through to the end there. Yeah. Oh, these were the last words. I think that's why I was looking through. So those last words I wrote earlier on, letting the aura of your boundary fall gracefully around you. Letting the aura of your boundary. That's part of the willingness as well to be true to our vibrational field. We don't all have to offer everything and all, but to be in that repetition, that deep building resonant boom of the offering of the beauty that you are, and let the aura of your boundary fall gracefully around you. It may almost feel like a self-reflective cocoon. And in that sense, you might feel almost as though, this sort of idea of how we're meant to shine, how we're meant to go forward, almost as though it's more like an exploding star, like a comet streaking across the skies in our collective culture. But so as this cocoon, this boundary of your aura falls around you, this self-reflective cocoon in this next moon to come, you may almost feel like you're going backwards, as though you're cocooning in your own light, falling backwards, because this new interconnection we're moving into is different. It's different to what's been before. The way we shine, the way we radiate is going to be different in its way. So allowing for that, because it is, as this comes in, it's the new phase of energetic architecture. So you can really allow yourself this feeling of this self-reflective cocoon falling around you. You can play in that field. So part of what I wanted to do before I close the pod was to hold a supportive transmission for that orb of your aura, because there are some really beautiful lights that want to pattern themselves forth, to let yourself start feeling those. And through this moon, when you're in the space of your meditations or your moments of self, falling, stilling in, you may feel that you come into that inner presencing and then begin to feel what it's like when you, as the lights begin to dance through your field, the feathers of your angelic wings begin to form, these gorgeous lights dancing through. So I just wanted to guide a transmission, Asara Thyan. I may take up the drum for this, which I haven't done for the pod very much. Iathara Kiente. So settling into your body, your sacred space, Ikara Son Terathian, Anara, Aneniara Then. Feeling that light of the one who you are, within you and around you, Esai, Nithara, that innermost light and core, the immortal starlight of the one who you are. Nien, Nanyara, core presence, the core miracle of your presence, interdimensional soul and essence, Karayen. Thorathien, Thorayar, Yana Takarayathian, Urikhe, Arukhi, Rothan, Ananara. Nyarar. And with your hands you may love to trace this through the field or sitting in stillness, to begin to feel the flickering light dance of the orb of your aura, what it feels like as this light activates from the new level of core presence. Anyara Ietian. Nanyara might be light, feeling, color, energy that flashes into awareness. Anonian, Koratharchen, Onan, Anyara. Yanar. To let gracefully fall around you the boundary of the orb of your aura, Kanyar. Whatever light, tone, color, energy presents, Kasai Narayan, Ietai. Nanorar, Nanyara Thai, Ithorakyara, Tanananyan Tayathar, Nanyara, Anyara Thai, Arahian Osanananyara, Orthio Narakar, Kyaner, Kyan, Nanara. Yanar, Aninan. Let this establish and build for you what this feels like, Ayar, for you. Nanyar, and to still into this as the architecture of energy that is building in the now. Kasara Thananyara Tatyan, through the days and the nights to come. And gently now, bringing your awareness back to your heart, your core, bringing yourself back here and now. Yeran. So as we come back, Niara, so beautiful. I could feel the multiple angelic auras of the shining ones. We are igniting through new tonal resonances of presence. And one important distinction with this, just as we finish, a piece of guidance is not yet to try to interpret this, what this might mean for who or how you are for anyone, for how you interact, your relationships. Let this be a pure energetic creation and a relationship to yourself first and foremost. As I said, it might not feel like a going out there, a shining, as the sort of orb of the aura in the way that we often think of it. This is a first layer of energetic architectural creation that is a relationship for yourself to yourself, and first and foremost for you to build, to dream, to call into being through your relationship to yourself and that deep self-knowing. So to really enjoy it at that level without needing yet to interpret what that means about how you connect with others, all of that will come. All of that will organically start clicking in through the lunar cycle to come. That will start building in through the cycle of manifestation and becoming through the earth cycle of this moon. So first and foremost, begin in the beautiful space of your own time with yourself, the self-knowing. So, yeah, so much more I could share, but I will finish there. There is so much unfolding through the field of creation, but I believe, I can feel intuitively that there'll be a whole flow through to the next pod of the next wave to share in relation to all of this and what is taking place through this next wave of creation. So with so much love, and yeah, have a beautiful week, and I shall see you soon. Farewell for now.